Mesoblast is publicly traded both in the U.S. and Australia. I caution you to look at our filings for full disclosure. So Mesoblast is a company with a very rich pipeline, including some revenue from some commercialized products as well. The pipeline is shown here, and of key note is the top one, the JCR product, the product that JCR markets in Japan, Temcell, which is approved to treat graft versus host disease in Japan. They're our licensee there, and we're developing the same product for use in the U.S. and then plan to develop it in Europe as well. Alofacel is a second product that we receive revenue from, and that's a product that was commercialized or approved by Tygenix, and then Takeda acquired Tygenix shortly thereafter. And we receive royalties and milestones from both Takeda and JCR on those two products. As I mentioned, we're developing Remestemcel-L, a very similar product to the Temcell product in Japan, to treat graft versus host disease. That product, I'll be speaking about it in a moment, but we have positive phase 3 data and plan on filing a BLA for that product imminently. We're developing a few cellular therapy products that will enable us to access larger markets, including heart failure and chronic low back pain. That's Revascor and MPC-06ID. Revascor is also in development for an orphan disease or an orphan setting, which is treating advanced or end-stage heart failure patients who are receiving LVADs and getting injected with cells to see if we can improve the outcome of patients who end up with LVADs. And finally, we have very, very good data for MPC-300 IV, our mesenchymal stem cell product, to treat rheumatoid arthritis and diabetic nephropathy. Those products are currently on hold as we prioritize our pipeline. Remestemcel-L, I mentioned, will be filing imminently the BLA for this product. Last year, in 2018, we had run a phase 3 study that read out in 55 pediatric patients and saw a very, very good response rate. At day 28, the overall response was 69% versus a historically defined population, which had a 45% 28-day response rate. And this was extended to both day 100, day 180 overall survival in this population, where we saw 75% survival at day 100, which was tremendous because oftentimes in this setting, there's a high rate of mortality for these kids. We've held a number of meetings with FDA at the end of last year and have a pre-BLA meeting scheduled and plan on filing the BLA imminently. We've started to ramp up our manufacturing investment, working with Lonza, the guys who just hosted that panel earlier. Terrific. We found that we had to look to a big partner to help us make sure we could get everything right as we were going through this near-term commercialization. And then finally, we are starting to build out a sales force. This is a disease that's treated around transplant centers, in and around transplant centers. The top 15 centers account for over half the market, and these are centers that we know from experience from our phase 3 trial as well as our expanded access program. I mentioned we have cellular therapy products to treat larger markets. They include our product Revascor for the treatment of advanced heart failure. In a phase 2 trial, we had seen some very, very interesting findings, benefits for these heart failure patients as far as increase in ejection fraction and very, very striking reduction in the incidence of cardiovascular events, major adverse cardiovascular events. That led us to launch a large phase 3 trial. 566 patients were enrolled in this phase 3 trial. It fully enrolled in February of this year, and we're looking forward to reading out that trial in 2020. We also have a cellular therapy trial ongoing for our product in chronic low back pain. There too, we had done an earlier phase 2 trial, received intriguing results showing a reduction in pain as well as an increase in function 2 years after a single treatment, a single injection into the disc of people who had been suffering and had been refractory to opioids. And so based on that, we launched a larger study, a phase 3, 400-patient study. That trial fully enrolled about a year ago. The trial is designed to look at both a 1-year and 2-year efficacy, both reduction in pain and increase in function. And so we're just going through a 1-year assessment now. We don't plan on reading that out, but it will inform, it will be part of the primary endpoint, which is 1-year and 2-year data. All of our products are underpinned by a large, strong patent portfolio. The patents cover composition of matter for specific antibodies we use to isolate the stem cells that we deliver, manufacturing, methods of use, and our IP enabled us to protect and take a license, or have Tygenix take a license with us in order to commercialize their product, Alofacel. And I mentioned Lonza. This is a picture of the Lonza manufacturing facility in Singapore. If they're still in the room, maybe I'll get a discount on something. This is their approved manufacturing facility in Singapore. The front 2/3 are for protein and biologic manufacturing. The back third is a cellular manufacturing suite or facility. And we're currently the largest customer, I believe, in that facility. And working with them, we look forward to being the first commercially produced allogeneic stem cell product approved in the U.S. A little snapshot on the financials. This is my comfort zone because I'm the CFO. Australian companies report on a sort of June 30 year end, so this is half-year results for us. And nice revenue, nice to have revenue. Milestone revenue is similar year over year. Our commercialization revenue, which includes our royalties from Temcell, the royalties from Takeda are just starting to come in, are showing nice growth still. Our cash on hand at year end was $77 million, and then after that date, we pulled in some additional money from Hercules, our lender, so bringing it to a pro forma of $92 million. That is about 1 year of capital for us, but we feel like we're well positioned to get through a number of key milestones. Last year, we met the endpoints for our phase 3 trial for remestemcel-L for graft versus host disease, and we're looking forward to getting the BLA filing going shortly. We earlier this year completed enrollment for our heart failure trial, and we look forward to discussing some results that we had in the LVAD study. It was phase 2B results that we released late last year. We'll have a meeting with FDA in later in this first half of 2019. And then finally, we completed enrollment last year for our back pain trial, and we're looking forward to getting through the 1 year time point for that trial. Also last year, we established a regional partnership with Tasly Pharmaceuticals to develop our stem cell product for heart failure in China. They received only cardiovascular rights in China, and we're looking forward to having other partnerships in that region as well as other regions. In addition, for the back pain or heart failure products, we're looking forward to establishing commercial partnerships with larger pharma companies in the near future.
Funny. So in the pursuit to become maybe the first approved allogeneic stem cell therapy within the U.S. Over the course of the next 12 months, how do you think about that transition, what you're going to be asked to as a company to bring to the market for payers and have those discussions? And how do you think about product positioning within the GVHD market specifically as some of the algorithms there are starting to change?
Sure. So to start with, I go back to something they said during the manufacturing panel just moments ago, which was transitioning from clinical validation to commercial execution. And so, I think we're very much in the mode of taking those steps to do so. In addition to working with Lonza, so to produce the product, we're establishing distribution channels in order to move the frozen product from Singapore to the U.S., across the U.S. to the sites where it needs to be delivered. So trying to, and I think we've made a selection of a best-in-class provider for that, who's used to dealing with frozen product and also helped us in our phase 3 trial. We've started to build out a commercial effort led by our colleague Eric Strati, who's ex-Novartis and has launched other products there. including Cosentyx and Entresto. And in addition, we've also added to our board of directors. Last year we added Sean Tomasello, who had been Chief Commercial Officer of Kite, and before that, Pharmacyclics. We also added Joe Swedish to the board of directors. Joe had been chairman and CEO of Anthem, and so he's informing some of the payer discussions as well.
Great. And this is fair territory since you are the CFO, and in your background as well should help you answer this question. Now that the company has a lead product going to the market, some follow-on assets on other interesting areas, how do you think about the valuation scheme of the company going forward, and where people are going to place the value of the pipeline versus the commercial opportunity, and how do you manage that with the company's resources?
So, it's a good question, multifaceted. So, like all the CEOs who have presented today or are yet to present, well, we believe we're undervalued. We may see some value in the company for having some revenue coming from these partnered products with Takeda and JCR. There's a big show me, I think, on getting through approval for Remestemcel-L. And I think so as we de-risk that and make the steps, we should see some valuation lift. And then there will be a show me on the commercialization there as well. It's an orphan product that I think we can handle and attack on our own. We think that we'll be distinct in the marketplace. There's some other products in development for GVHD, but with us being unique on pediatric and having a pediatric label, it should enable us to call on some places like children's hospitals where Incyte and Jakafi won't be able to be detailed. So there is still, then there's, I think the market is waiting for proof that an allogeneic stem cell therapy product can be approved in the U.S. through the FDA. And that the glow of that should help us with both our heart failure and back pain products and lift the valuation as well. Then it'll be data dependent on when those trials read out in 2020.
And when you think about those follow-on areas relative to maybe some of the acute cases of GVHD that you're going to have related to like allogeneic transplant, those could be much broader markets from a patient population perspective. How do you think about what Mesoblast would want to take on from commercial infrastructure and building that out, from the lead product to maybe more expansive secondary products?
Sure. I mean, we have executed the phase 3 trial in heart failure, 55 sites, 566 patients, and so we're able to figure out logistics in order to reach a broader market. But ultimately, calling on cardiologists is not something that I think we can handle on our own. So we've had substantive discussions with large pharma companies. They're ongoing, and I think they'll be data dependent. But we'll avail ourselves of a pharma company to get that broader reach. Pharma companies are becoming much more comfortable with, they're very comfortable with new modes of therapy. They see it as part of their future as well. And so I think that we'll have a strong alignment at some point.
In terms of the deeper pipeline, where are you guys thinking about doing additional strategic partnerships, and what type of partnerships would really make sense as you bring that proof of concept out of the clinic into commercial use?
So I think the most near term, and I neglected to mention this before because of the summary slide format, will be actually expanding from the pediatric GVHD setting into the adult setting, and then moving from acute GVHD into a more chronic setting. And I believe that if we focus on the right patient population, grade CD disease, more severe patients, that we'll actually be able to show great benefit for these patients as they become refractory to other therapies. So that'll be the first step.
And before we wrap up right here, so when you think about the milestones for 2019, we have the submission. Are there any other clinical data readouts that we should be focused on?
The most important will be the submission, and I think we'll try to keep the market informed. It will be a rolling submission, and so as we submit modules, we'll try to keep the market informed on our progress.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dane.